This is a PicoPSU. It's a very small power supply meant for computers running pretty low power. And as you can see, it's very small. That's why they call it a PicoPSU. It gets its power from here, and then you have multiple connectors that give you the other things that you need. So this is for the CPU power. It goes in this one. So this is your 4-pin for the CPU, and this is for any hard drives that you have. Now I'm saying this is a power supply, but it's actually not a complete power supply. If I compare it for a normal power supply, like this Cooling Master, it just gets mains in. And the PicoPSU runs off 12 volt. So to use it, you still need a power supply. This is a pretty big one. It's 192 watts. And this is a 160 watt PicoPSU that can handle a peak power of 200 watt. So this is the biggest PicoPSU. But you can also get smaller ones that go down to 65 or 95 watts. So the reason I bought this one is to run it with my NAS. And one of the nice things about PicoPSUs is that they are very efficient. They just take 12 volt and they are based around a lower power, and they are specifically made to run idle at a very low power. Lots of people are running PicoPSUs and their computers or servers are running in a couple of watts idle, maybe 3 watt, maybe 5 watt. It does depend a lot on the actual 12 volt power supply you have here though. This one has to do the step from 230 volts to 12 volts, and that has to do that efficiently. So depending on the power supply you use, it might be a little bit different. But the other nice thing is that it's very compact. You don't have a big power supply. You can fit this one outside of the case and then fit it in anywhere. And you can combine it with, for example, an MITX computer. So you just slot it in here like this. And then only a 12 pin for the CPU. So this one has 8 pins, but especially if you're not really running a high power CPU, you can actually get away with 4 pins, and lots of motherboards will work fine just you putting a 4 pin and an 8 pin, but it does depend. And then this one gets connected here, like this. So the thing with these kind of connectors though is that even a PicoPSU that runs at a lower power, it will all run from 12 volts, a single rail, and then you still have, well, 192 or 160 watts is going to be around 15 amps, and 15 amps through a single wire is going to be problematic. So that's why this one actually has this DIN connector, which spreads it out over 4 pins. But there's still a bit of a weak point here between this one, because it actually is just one cable coming through. I would say this is actually, it will cause more voltage drop than I would actually like. So maybe I should just solder in a new cable that goes directly, a thicker cable that goes directly to these. But short ones are maybe not that problematic, because it's the actual voltage drop is based on, of course, the thickness of the wire and then the length of the wire that runs through it. So I bought this one for my NAS, which has pretty low power components, except then for one thing, and that is the hard drives. I thought I would get away with this bigger PicoPSU in my NAS with 3.5-inch hard drives, and I have 3 of them, and they did work fine, but I did get a lot of issues with like a bit of corruption on the hard drives, not specifically corruption, but I got Linux errors, and those errors caused corruptions with ZFS. And I think the reason that even the PicoPSU is not enough for like 3.5-inch hard drives is the peak power that they ask for. So they ask for about I think these are Seagate Exos 16 drives, and those ask for, they can ask up to 50 to even 60 watts while going up. And then all that power, it might still be able to deliver it, but at a very short time, you ask all of that power, and then you get a voltage drop, and that voltage drop will cause issues for the hard drives. That's what I've seen. It might be something else as well. So I've two theories. One of them is the voltage drop that on the 12 volt is too much for the hard drives, so the hard drives kind of go into under voltage protection, or they slow down, and especially because it's CFS, and then if CFS is gonna ask something of the hard drives, these X16s were running continuously, but they do have their own power saving features, so they will run at a lower speed, and then when all three drives are getting used at the same time, because CFS will of course spread the load over three drives, it will ask a peak load of all three of them at the same time. So I think that's the issue. The other issue could be that it's actually not specifically the 12 volt, but it's the 5 volt. The 5 volt. So there is some electronics on the hard drives, a SATA connector like this. It doesn't only have 12 volt, and I think it's 5 volt that it also has, and the hard drives could ask too much during spin up from the 5 volt rail. Then it can supply, and then you also get a voltage drop, and that causes these issues. And so after I stopped using it, and after I switched to a normal power supply, a 500 watt power supply, all of my Linux errors went away. It's a bit sad. The power usage did go up by a little bit, but my new power supply was pretty efficient. I think the other issue that might have come is because I used this extension cable here. This is a daisy chain cable, because the PicoPSU itself doesn't have a lot of connectors. So daisy chaining this, I hate Molex. Daisy chaining this and then 12 volt going over it will be fine with very low loads, but if you have something in these last two connectors and they're asking 50 watts over the 12 volt, and then the other ones are also asking power at the same time, you're also going to get voltage drop from that. And then on its own, it might still be fine, but if you look at the 12 volts coming from this connector, then going through the board here, coming through this Molex, and then daisy chaining, it all adds up. It's all a little bit of voltage every time, and then you end up with a very low voltage. So yeah, that's why I can't use the PicoPSU on this one anymore. I'm still going to use it on this small computer. This is just going to be a test computer, just to run some stuff on, and also as a backup for my other server. So it's going to run Proxmox, and then I will move any services I need over to this one. Well, thanks for watching. Bye.